Hello, YouTube audience. Thanks for tuning in here. Today we're going to be talking about prophecy, both past, present, and future. I'm first going to be talking to you about some dreams that came to pass. One is the 9/11 disaster. I had a prophetic dream about that the same morning, actually, at the same time that it was happening. I was on the West Coast, and as you know, the events happened in New York City on the East Coast. Why I had them at the same time, I have no idea, but it's been documented, and many people know about that, along with Hurricane Sandy, which happened on the East Coast time. But I woke up to the Lord saying, "Get on your knees and pray, great move of God." And I did. I went on my knees and prayed, and I didn't know what was going to happen or what the Lord meant by that. But a few days later, Hurricane Harvey hit, and a lot of Texas was flooded, and it was a major disaster there. So there is an accuracy to the dreams and visions that the Lord gives me in words of knowledge. So I hope you'll watch this and find them interesting. At the end, there will be two dreams that I had about our president, Donald J. Trump, and I seem to think they had a very clear meaning, and I'll discuss that at the end of this video. My past dreams that have come true had to do with 9/11. I woke up that morning of 9/11 on the West Coast a little after 6 a.m., which would be about the time that the attacks happened on the World Trade Center, and I was terrified. They were the most traumatic dreams I've had in my life, so I knew something really bad was going to happen. I just didn't know what. I did work at the World Trade Centers in the 1980s, so I know those elevators. I know the hallways and the whole mezzanine level of and floors of the World Trade Center. And that morning, the Lord, I take it, gave me a dream where I was actually there at a little after 6 a.m. on the West Coast time, at the same time that they were experiencing that horrible, horrible, tragic event. I felt everything that a lot of people felt that day, and it really stuck with me all these years. I can never shake off that dream, nor, obviously we shouldn't forget what happened that day. But the dream with 9/11 back then, on the West Coast, a little after 6 a.m., was this. In the dream, I was in the World Trade elevators, and I didn't know they were the World Trade elevators. I just knew I was in these elevators, big dark elevators, and it's as though somebody cut the cords in a high-rise building in the elevators. We were free-falling in the elevator so fast that the G-force I felt in the dream, or whatever force you call it, when you're free-falling so fast that it hurts and you can't even breathe, that's what I felt in the dream. It was terrifying. And there were other people in the elevator. It was pitch black. And I woke up right when the elevator hit the ground. Prior to that part of the dream, the first part of the dream was seeing a Latino window washer outside my bedroom window. And I said in the dream, "What is that window washer doing on that platform?" He was crying. He was curled up in a ball, holding on, rocking, kind of, help me on this window washing platform outside my bedroom window. This was in the dream. Then when I sat up in bed in the dream to look at him, he fell, and I just screamed like, "Oh, he fell," So that was the first part of the dream. The second part of the dream was the terrifying, free-falling elevator, feeling all the G-force and terror and heat that those poor people felt. And when the elevator hit the ground is when I woke up. So I knew something very bad was going to happen with that dream. Very bad. When you go down that fast in a dream, usually that means something really bad. So I went and I checked on my son, who was in bed with the flu at the time. He was fine. I said, "Dear Lord, please don't let anything happen to my son. Anything happens to me, let it happen to me, not him." And I just was really wondering, what does this mean? This means something really, bad. And then about an hour later or so, I got a phone call from a friend who said, turn your TV on. And that's when I found out about the events. But by then, I didn't associate it with my dream. It was only when some of the people who escaped the elevators told their story on Larry King Live did I hear the story, and it was exactly what I experienced in the dream. What these people were telling Larry King about their experience. So that was one of the prophetic of dreams that came true. So many. I had another prophetic dream of Hurricane Sandy 3 days before Hurricane Sandy. I posted it on Facebook where I said that I had a dream that I was on a shore with very, beautiful glass homes and not glass, but, a lot of windows on the shore. And there was a huge full moon on the ocean. It was dark, and I saw this dark storm coming over the ocean, and I scribbled down, tornado, and then I scribbled out tornado, and I put hurricane because I realized tornadoes usually don't go over the ocean. And in the dream, I was in a home, one of those glass homes on the shore of somewhere, and I saw the big full moon. I saw this huge black funnel type of storm coming over the ocean. And I said, "Oh no, I have to leave this house. All these houses are going to be destroyed." And I said, "I have to call my son on the West Coast." So there you go. I knew it wasn't the West Coast. I knew I wasn't in the dream on the West Coast. I knew it was somewhere else the storm was going to hit, and a beach area, and there was a full moon, and it was going to destroy the homes. So I thought, let me run for the top level. The ocean, the water is going to come up on the shore, and I started running upstairs and trying to tell somebody that I wasn't in the state that I lived in on the West Coast, but at this other place that was going to be hit by this tremendous storm and, have a lot of destruction. So 3 days later, Hurricane Sandy hit, and there was a lot of destruction there. People noted who saw the Facebook post that there was a big full moon that night or that day, and, that the events did occur the way that I had dreamed them. So another one was the Northridge Quake. My son was a baby then, or 2 years old or something, in a crib. And I had a dream 3 days before the Northridge Quake where I was in Los Angeles in the dream, and I was working at some television studio. I started having an earthquake and rocking, and then it stopped, and I pushed this big studio door open, and I was outside in Los Angeles, and I said, "I have to get home. I have a toddler at home." And so the person that was outside said, "Well, you can't go home. The freeways are packed. We've just had a major earthquake." And I woke up and I told a few people. And then 3 days later, I woke up and there was the Northridge Quake, and I was some distance away from Los Angeles at that time. I grabbed my son out of the crib and went under a door frame. But it was definitely noted about my dream 3 days before the Northridge Quake. So there's so many different dreams that I've had, and I've had spiritual warning dreams from the Lord. Now we will get into the Donald Trump dream. Okay, so the dream started out where I was at I was at the White House. In the dream, I kept saying, "I got to tell people I'm here. This is so great. I got to tell people I'm here." And I'm at this, celebration. It seemed like there was going to be a celebration going on because everybody was in a good mood and the place was bustling. And every time Donald Trump kept to walk up to me to talk, somebody would whisk him away. Like, "Sir, we need you," and presidential business, etc. So he was being pulled away and talking with people, and it wasn't a big party or anything. It was just a couple people doing their job and the usual advisors calling him away to talk to him. And I left a room and I walked down the big hallways in the White House, and they had the presidential portraits and the portraits of the first ladies, and I was just looking in awe, thinking, wow, I would love to let people know I'm here, but I thought, no, that wouldn't be professional. I'm not going to do that. And so then I walked into a particular room in the White House where there were some people working, and Donald was there, and all of a sudden, he introduces me to Barron Trump, his son, and of course, the president gets called away for more presidential business. And I'm talking with Barron, and Barron has a friend with him. And I'm asking Barron the usual questions you ask I would ask a son or, a boy in school. So after that, the dream switched to, an area of the White House where Donald Trump gives his live addresses from, or his addresses from the White House. I have no idea in the White House where that would be. But in the dream, I was behind the scenes, and there were cameras and wires, and, I'm trying to, watch from behind the scenes at him giving an address to the nation live. And he was at a podium, and there was a kind of a drape or some sort of thing I could see through from behind. It was like a sheer drape, but he was definitely at a podium that was well lit. It was kind of like seeing a speech Kennedy would give, or Martin Luther King, one of those photos where he's giving a speech, but the cameraman is taking the picture from behind. It seems to me that there was some reason for celebration going on. And he was going to give a live address from the White House that was, I assume, good news, or something major. After that part of the dream, it switched to me sitting in a makeup and hair chair with the Hollywood lights around the makeup mirror and the White House. I was still in the White House. And somebody was putting my hair up very beautifully. And it was perfect, a perfect updo hairdo. And my makeup, they were doing my makeup to perfection. And I had a wedding dress on. Yes, a wedding dress. Now, don't get the idea that in the dream I'm marrying Donald Trump. I just thought it was I know what I believe the meaning is, and I will tell you after I finish the dream. And then the dream switched to me getting in a cab, leaving the White House, and I was in my normal clothes, and I looked like myself. And I'm telling the taxi cab driver where to go, and I looked down on my lap, and I had the wedding veil on my lap. I was leaving with the veil. Leaving with a veil on my lap from the White House. Well, the end of the dream ended like this. I had the veil on my lap, and I kept thinking, I have to return this. I don't want the White House to think I took this without their permission. I don't really trust anybody to handle this veil. I don't know anybody. It needs to be handled properly, and I really didn't trust anybody with it. So I looked out the taxi window, and I saw a police officer, a law enforcement police officer. And I had the taxi driver stop, and I put the window down, and I thought, um, you know, maybe the police officer can handle this. And just when I put the window down to talk to the policeman or law enforcement officer in Washington, D.C., outside of the White House, that's when I woke up. So, everyone, your mind might be going as to what that meant, this last dream that I had. But I'll tell you my feeling on it. Immediately when I woke up, I really had a strong feeling about this dream. It was very clear. The people were who they were supposed to be in the dream. They looked like who they were supposed to be in the dream, and that's usually a tip-off to me that it's a prophetic dream. And it was very clear. Now, the White House, was bustling in the dream. So there's some happy celebration going on. There's something that, it wasn't a big party with people in gowns. It was just business as usual, but everybody was just buzzing, at their desks, or, just normal chatter, just a few people in each room of the White House conducting business, but they seemed to have a smile on their face doing it. And the part about the wedding dress, well, people of God, we are the bride of Christ. And there is a Christian in the White House now. So my take on this dream is that we are preparing and getting ready, just like I was at that makeup and hair table. We're preparing as the bride. And right now in the White House, there's a return of faith, values, and Christian beliefs. The Lord has someone in the White House who is pushing God's agenda now. And that's why I believe there was the happy tone, if not a special event that's upcoming. I guess we'll find out. That would make them have that demeanor. And we are the bride of Christ. We are, waiting for the return of the Lord. So here I was in a bridal dress in the White House, preparing, and it was perfect. The way they did my hair was perfect, the makeup was perfect, and that's how we'll be when we meet our Lord. The part about the taxi, where I got into the cab, and I realized I had the veil on my lap, and I took it from the White House without knowing. That, I believe, is the veil of corruption in Washington. That is the veil of corruption in the White House. That's the thought of that. That's the first thing that came to my mind as the meaning of leaving the White House with a veil. And when I stopped and put the window down, who was the first person I thought of to handle this veil? Law enforcement. I mean, there you go. The veil is leaving the White House, and it's going to be handed over to law enforcement. I can't think of any other meaning that would make sense with that part of the dream. And I can't make this stuff up, folks. Can't make this stuff up. This is the Lord's way of relaying, certain events. He doesn't do anything without revealing them to his servants. So we'll see what happens with that. But that was the first thing I thought of with that. So there you go. Oh, second Trump dream I will get into now. It was very short, so this won't be as long, but it was very clear and very meaningful, and I understood exactly what was going on. So we'll just have to wait and see if it happens, and take note of this message about it and documentation about it. I was, in the dream, I was up in a private jet, I guess, or plane, and we were above some high mountains, and we weren't above the clouds. We were, just a little bit above the mountains, looking down, like surveying the area. And I was with another woman who looked like a professional woman on the plane, and our seats were facing each other, so it must have been like a private business jet. And we were looking out the window at these mountains, and we were very close to the mountains. We weren't, way up looking down miles at the mountains. We were fairly close to the top of these mountains and kind of hovering or circling around, just looking at the area. And it was very clear in the dream that we were, we had a discussion really quick in the dream. We said, oh, looking out the window, that's where Donald Trump's face is going to be, and it was Mount Rushmore. Okay? We were looking down at Mount Rushmore, and we were discussing the plans for placing Donald Trump's bust, face, likeness, whatever you want to call it, on Mount Rushmore, adding it to the already famous icons that are there, at present. So, you never know. I woke up right after that. The minute I heard that's where Donald Trump's, likeness is going to go, looking out the window at Mount Rushmore, that's when I woke up, and it was very clear what that dream was about. So, thanks for tuning in here, and please list your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have any thoughts on these dreams. Always interesting to hear what you have to say. So, until next time, thanks again, and God bless.